The day I decided to sell my father's restaurant, a stranger walked in and asked for a soup that was not on the menu. My father died in winter. By spring, I was exhausted from paperwork, debt calls, and silence. The kind of silence that sits in a kitchen after the stoves go cold. I was 29, a trained chef, and somehow still felt like a child pretending to be brave. Rossi's Kitchen had been our family place for 26 years. Small tables. Steam on the windows. Too many handwritten notes on the fridge. After Dad was gone, every corner felt like a memory trap. So I made a practical decision. Close it, clear it, sell it. On cleanup day, I turned the sign to closed and started boxing old plates. At 7:12 p.m., the door opened anyway. An elderly man in a gray coat stepped in, looked around, and said, "Is Mateo here?" "I came for Wednesday lentil soup." I swallowed. "My father passed away." He lowered his eyes. Then he nodded, slowly, as if he had expected this news but hoped he was wrong. "I'm sorry," he said. He always kept a bowl for me on Wednesdays. I told him we were shutting down. No menu. No service. But he stayed by the counter and added quietly, "Your father put lemon zest at the end." "Not while cooking." "At the end." He said grief needs brightness. That sentence hit me harder than condolences. I made the soup. Not because I wanted to. Because my hands moved before my mind did. When I placed the bowl in front of him, he smiled after one spoonful and whispered, "Exactly." Then he told me his name was Elias. His wife had died 9 years earlier. Every Wednesday, the day she died, my father served him soup and never charged him. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they just sat in silence. "Your father understood that silence can be company," Elias said. After he left, I couldn't sleep. So I came back to the restaurant and opened my father's old ledger. I expected unpaid invoices. Instead, I found pages of names with strange notes beside them. "Anna, interview tomorrow, very nervous." "Jorge, son had fever, sent extra bread." "Nina, night shift nurse, no dinner break." "Elias, Wednesday." No prices. No totals. Just people. In a drawer below the ledger, I found envelope stacks. Inside were small vouchers, each handwritten. Meal covered. No questions asked. Dad had been running a quiet safety net out of this tiny kitchen. Not charity for attention. Care, invisible and steady. The next week I canceled the sale appointment. My realtor thought I was making an emotional mistake. Maybe I was. But for the first time in months, the mistake felt alive. I called 2 old staff members. Then one became 4. A baker from down the street donated yesterday's bread. A florist brought herbs. A high school student offered to wash dishes for free until things stabilize. Word spread faster than I could control. We reopened with a new sign under the old one. "Goodnight kitchen, last hour, free soup." Rules were simple. No forms. No proof. No speeches. If you were tired, hungry, or just needed to sit somewhere warm, you got a bowl. On the first reopening night, the line reached the corner. Night bus drivers. A woman with 2 kids. A delivery rider still in his helmet. An office worker in a suit, crying quietly into tomato broth. Elias sat at table 3, holding his bowl with both hands like prayer. At closing, when I turned off the stove, I looked at the room. Empty chairs. Used napkins. The soft smell of garlic and thyme. And for the first time since my father died, the silence didn't feel heavy. It felt full. People ask if this business model makes sense. Some days, honestly, it doesn't. Margins are thin. Equipment breaks. I still wake up worrying about rent. But every night at 9, when we serve that last free hour, I remember what Dad wrote on the back page of his ledger. Feed people first. Numbers learn to behave later. I framed that page and hung it near the kitchen pass. Now, whenever a young cook asks why we do this, I tell them. Because hunger is not always about food. Sometimes it is about being seen. Sometimes one hot bowl says, "You still matter." Last Wednesday, Elias brought a small photo of his wife. He placed it beside his soup and smiled at me. "Mateo," he said, "your father would be proud. You didn't keep his restaurant. You kept his promise." I used to think I inherited a failing business. Now I know I inherited a map of kindness. Written in soup stains and pencil notes. Leading me back to people. Every single night.